What's up guys, welcome back to Strongside episode number 4. Today I'm going to be covering an arm workout, which is going to be tricep, bicep and forearm annihilation. So stick with me, this is a long intense workout, so I'm probably only going to show 1 or 2 sets per exercise. I'll see you on the commentary.
Welcome back, and thank you for taking the time to watch this episode today. I hope you get something useful out of it. Kicking off this arm workout, we started with a very light warm-up, which was just some haircuts into skull crushers. Very lightweight, just to get the synovial fluid moving in the joints, so they're nice and warmed up, ready for some heavier exercises. It's really important to warm up. You can either do this through very light reps of the exercise you're about to do, or like single arm cable extensions is a pretty good one as well for triceps. So jumping into the first set, I did some close grip easy bar press, and I don't know why, but the angle of the easy bar is much more comfortable for me, especially when carrying out a close grip press. I also prefer doing it on a decline because I get more of a contraction right at the very bottom of the movement. I always start my triceps with compound exercises. Compound exercises are multi-joint movements, so anything like a military press, a bench press, is more than one joint moving as opposed to like an isolated bicep curl. This is going to use some secondary muscles as well, which allows you to shift more weight, but providing you're using the correct form, you can just apply that extra stress to the muscle directly and increase the muscle gains you're going to get from the exercise. This was feeling really good for me, so I did 5 or 6 sets with this, gradually increasing the weight by 5 or 10 kilograms each set until I hit failure where I was struggling with about 8 reps. The gym was nice and quiet today as well, so I got plenty of good angles and felt like this is one of the better footages I've provided during a workout. I'm really glad I dieted as well, because during these sets my chest is looking ridiculous. So you want to make sure when you're doing this exercise that you're keeping your elbows close to your sides and extending straight up. You want to keep your wrists forward as well. You don't want to let the bar collapse too far backwards to put your wrists at compromise. So try and keep those fists in alignment with your forearms, and then bringing the bar right down to your lower chest line and then popping it straight back up. You can see where I grip the barbell is on the cambered part, which just feels more natural for me. I don't feel it stresses my shoulders as I would be doing with a straight bar. So you just need to experiment with different bars and find out what works best for you. Just did a little drop set on this one just to get my arms really pumped for the next exercise, and went to failure on this as well. The next exercise, I call these haircuts, which is a variation of a skull crusher, where a skull crusher would be just to bring the bar down to your forehead and then pop straight back up. But I like to bring the bar right to the back of my head, because this is going to use the long head of the tricep, which is the largest portion of the tricep muscle, to stabilize as you're bringing this back. But then you can also use a little bit of your lats to almost propel the weight up. I wouldn't emphasize this too much, only when you're approaching failure, but when you are doing this, it allows you to possibly use slightly heavier weight, and providing you control it on the way down on the negative portion of the rep, then this is really going to help with your strength and size gains as well. The negative portion of the rep is the most important part of the rep. There's 3 stages in a rep, which is the concentric, which is the lifting of the weight, the isometric, which is holding of the weight and keeping it in the same place, and then the eccentric portion is the negative portion of the rep. And that's the bit that people usually skip through and don't spend much time doing that, although that portion of the rep is what's causing the most of the muscle damage. So when you see people curling the weight up and then just dropping the weight as fast as they can and then just focusing entirely on the concentric portion of the rep, they are losing out on probably 60% of the rep. It's so key to ensure that you are maintaining that very slow negative, because that is where the muscle is being forced to extend in a flex state, which causes a lot of tearing of the actin and myosin filaments, which are the little cross bridges which form the muscle fibers. I hit failure on this, and then I swiftly moved into a close grip press just to hit failure again, and then I moved straight on to the next exercise. So moving into dips, another compound exercise. This is a great exercise for the triceps, and there's a little bit of chest involvement as well. When you're doing dips for the triceps, you want to try and keep your body a little bit more upright than you would be if you were doing a dip for the chest. With a chest dip, you will be flaring out your elbows a little bit more, and you'll probably bring your knees forward just to shift that center of gravity more towards your chest. When doing a chest dip, you're essentially trying to emulate a downward pressing movement as you would with a decline. But with a tricep dip, you want to try and keep your body a little bit more upright, and then come down just to 90 degrees and then pop back up. As I just mentioned the importance of doing negative reps, here you can see I popped up and just did a few more, just jumping up to the top of the rep and then controlling it slowly on the way back down. Another dip variation is a bench dip, and this one was working much better for me this day. I did 2 sets of the dips and I wasn't feeling it that much. So if you're ever feeling that, if you're ever doing an exercise and you're just not feeling it that day, then don't waste any more time forcing yourself to do it unnecessarily. Just change the exercise to something that might hit a different angle, and you might feel this one much better than you would otherwise. What I make sure when I'm doing the bench dips is I'll rest my palms on the bench and then push the other one far enough away just so I can bring my body forward. Another option would be to do it on your fists, which my buddy actually feels better in his triceps, so that's another variation you can try. Otherwise, keep your palms flat on the pad and just really focus on squeezing your tricep at the top of the movement. When you place your feet on the bench, you should extend your arms and then slightly shift your body forward, so when you're coming back down you get a nice stretch in the front delt, but more so when you come to the top of the movement and you extend your tricep, you get a full contraction right to the very top. So I did 5 sets of this exercise, then just drop setted right at the end. After that I moved on to overhead rope extensions, which is really going to emphasize the long head of the tricep. There's 3 heads to the tricep, which is the lateral head, the medial head, and the long head of the tricep. The long head is the biggest portion of the tricep. Anytime you're doing a overhead movement, such as an overhead rope extension like this, or a French press, which is the same with a dumbbell, you're going to be activating the long head of the tricep. It's pretty much whenever your pinky finger is above your thumb and you're extending upwards, that's when you're going to be activating more of the long head of the tricep, which is the thickest portion. Whenever you're doing anything overhead, you're going to be activating the bigger portion of the tricep muscle. I'm going to give you one of my little secrets when performing the overhead rope extension. If you do hit failure with good form, which would be keeping the ropes apart, as you can see during this set, it gets to the point where I will get the 2 ends of the rope and push them together. Just split the rope at the top and then control it on the way back down. By doing that, it will incorporate a little bit of shoulders, but if you do hit failure with proper form, you can squeeze a few more reps out by pushing the ends of the rope together. It'll allow you to go past failure. Just make sure you split the ropes at the end and then control them on the way back down. Next we moved into seated bicep curls. The reason we did triceps first is because it's the largest portion of the arm. If you take the upper portion of your arm as a whole, you've got the tricep and the bicep, which is tricep meaning there's 3 heads, and bicep meaning there's 2 heads. That should already tell you that 3/5 of your arm is the tricep, whereas only 2/5 is the bicep. So if you want bigger arms, that should show you where your emphasis should be heading. So after hitting triceps, we moved onto seated dumbbell curls. As you can see here, my elbow is pretty much locked in exactly the same place, and the only movement is coming from the contraction of my biceps. I'm not swinging my arms forward. If you are going to do cheat curls, then ensure that you hit failure with perfect form first, and then move on to the cheat curls, which would involve a little bit of sway just to assist you in getting the weight up. But for every cheat curl or cheat rep that you ever do, always ensure that you get more out of the negative portion of the rep. So if you do cheat with a rep, try and control it for twice as long on the negative, because this way you're still getting the most out of the most important part of the rep. The bicep has two functions, which is number one to curl the weight, which is just to lift it up, and the other function of the bicep is to rotate your forearm, which provides supination of the wrist. So if you are doing curls with dumbbells, it's good to supinate the wrists also, as this will provide more bicep activation. Here we moved into wide bar cable curls. I like using cables when training arms because it keeps constant tension throughout the movement, but this exercise is also going to emphasize the short head of the bicep, which is on the inside of your arm. There's two heads to the bicep, and the short head is the one that runs on the inside of the arm. The long head is the one that runs on the outside. So again, just using good form as much as possible, and then if I did any cheat reps, I was just controlling it on the way back down, drop setting the weight, and then just pushing past failure until I couldn't do any more. I finished off the workout with some hammer curls. So you can see here I've put my wrist straps on, and that was just to ensure that I could really hammer my brachialis and my brachioradialis. The brachialis is the muscle which kind of snakes between the bicep and the tricep on the outside of your arm, and the brachioradialis is the one that connects from your bicep to the top of your forearm. So my form wasn't necessarily textbook when curling the weights up, but I was just going for sheer volume, so I was picking these weights up and going for 20-30 reps. So I did 4 sets of this, and that concluded this arm workout. Dead ass.
So that concludes today's arm workout. I hope you enjoyed the workout. The gym was completely dead, so I got some great footage, plenty of good angles, and yeah, I'm just really happy with how everything turned out. Stay tuned for more episodes, there's plenty more to come. Please drop me a like if you liked the video, and comment below if you have any positive feedback or constructive criticism. Whatever you want to give, then just drop it in the comments. I would be very appreciative if you could do that for me. This video was slightly different in the way that I didn't do any speaking to the camera. It was almost like a fly on the wall kind of training video. So if you prefer this, if you prefer the other kind of videos where I'm speaking to the camera to explain things, or if you prefer just the voiceover commentary, then if you could just drop that in the comments below as well. Then any feedback you give me, I'd be very grateful for. It helps me develop, helps the content get better. So yeah, just let me know what you like. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for all your support. Thank you to everybody who's viewing. Thank you to my subscribers. Tom Bailey signing out for Strongside Fitness. I'll see you in the next episode.